Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the world of home automation with me, your host, Paul Hibbert, and welcome to my new toy. I should probably not describe this phallic-shaped object as a toy, so I'll quickly qualify that. This is a curtain blind winder. Basically, this end spins around when you press a button on a remote control, and it will send your curtain blind up and down because you're going to thread this through the metal pole that your curtain blind sits on. Now, there aren't a lot of these about. They're being manufactured by my mate in China, who sends me quite a lot of things, but he will soon manufacture more when you start buying them. So there is a link in the description where you can get these from. They are awesome. They work with Alexa, most importantly, if you have an RF-enabled device, such as a Broadlink RM Pro. If you want a Broadlink RM Pro, they're also in the description, so let's find out how that works. So the concept of this is absolutely ingenious, if I'm honest. This thing stays static, this thing at the end spins around, and it does so when you press this button on the remote control. And all you do is you thread this down the end of your pole, all the way to the end. So you've got it like that, and then it will spin the pole and in turn spin your curtain up and down. And the first thing we need to do is we need to press this little button in here to reset it, and then pair it with this remote, and then we can pair the RM Pro to control it instead of the remote. It's pairing now. And on the back of the remote, you've got this little C button, which is like confirm, I think. Awesome, that's confirmed. Awesome. How terrifying and brilliant at the same time. See, who needs a professional clamp to do anything right, eh? Why do it right when you can just do it wrong? Okay, so this is my old one, and I've now got to take this pole off. This is just double-sided plastic. Dunelm, cheapskates. Well, that was super easy, far too easy. I'm gonna regret saying that. That is pretty bloody neat. So we've got a power supply, and we got this thing, and we need to connect these cables to these cables. I'm going to do that using one of these connector blocks. So all I'm going to do is going to stick 2 cables into one side, and the other 2 cables into the other side. Nice and firm. Cool. This goes into this end. Just push it down. So now I've got one of these on this end. It's got a slot in the end that I just push that into. So all I've got to do is get these attached to the wall and then slot these in. And I say that's all I've got to do. It's going to be a nightmare, because it always is. I hate DIY. Get ready to watch lots of cursing and swearing. Now the moment of truth. I need to, first of all, set the limits on this thing. So first of all, I'm going to press this L button here for 6 seconds, I think. Cool, that's now waiting for me to set the lower limit. So all I've got to do is press the down button, and when it reaches the very bottom of the window, all I've got to do is press stop. And what it will do is it will learn where the lower limit is, so that next time I wind the thing right down to the bottom, it will know where to stop so it doesn't just keep going. Awesome. So I've stopped it just near the bottom, because now I can actually press the down button a few times and it steps, if you'll notice. So I can step it right down to where I want it to be. So I've had it go slightly lower than you might want it to go, because what I want it to do is I want it to push the curtain into the window so it really traps out all the light. And all I do now is I press the confirm button on the back, and that's confirmed, and now I set the upper limit. So all I do is the same thing again in reverse. So I press the upper button, and I wait till it gets somewhere near the top, and then I stop it. How exciting is that? I can't believe that works. I know that's ridiculous, because that's the whole point of it, but it works amazingly well. Cool, and then I'll stop it, and then I can step it up. That's good enough for me. Now I press confirm, and that's now confirmed. And then when I wind it all the way down, It should stop at the bottom all by itself. I finally feel like some kind of home automation king. Because I can block out the sun like a god. It stopped by itself. It works. Cool. Okay, final thing to do then is to set Alexa up so she'll do this instead. Let's do that. So anyone that's watched a lot of my videos will know exactly what I'm about to do, so I'm going to open up this app called eControl. eControl is an app produced by the people that make the Broadlink RM Pro, and it's the Broadlink RM Pro that is going to mimic the remote that I've got in my hand. So the Broadlink is going to send the same RF signals as the little remote that sends the blind up and down. And all I've got to do is teach it how to do that. So I'm going to open up the eControl app, I'm going to press this plus button here, and go to Add Remote. You'll get a list of all of the Broadlink products you own. If you only have one, it's going to be nice and easy. For me, I've got quite a few, but I happen to know this top one is my Broadlink RM Pro. So I'm going to select that, go to User Defined, and then Sort in Order. And what this does is it gives us a blank canvas for us to start creating buttons to create a virtual remote on our phone. So I'm going to click this plus button here, because I want to add a button. I'm going to choose an icon from the existing gallery, and I'm going to choose up, because that seems like a sensible thing to use for sending a curtain up. And I'm going to call this blind up. Save. I'm going to create one for blind down. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Pick from the icons, choose the down arrow, and call this one blind down. Save that. And then we need one more, which is our stop button. I'm going to choose from the icons, and then towards the bottom, there we go, got a stop button. Stop's a good enough name for me. You'll see at the top here it says Sort in Order. That's the name of this remote, and that's obviously garbage. I don't want to call it that. So I'm going to call it what the device is. So I'm going to go to Device Info. I'm going to change it from being called Sort in Order to being called Curtain Blind. Sounds like a good thing. Whatever a curtain blind is. Icon-wise, you can take a picture if you want. Give it something slightly more interesting. That'll do me. Close enough. And then when you go back to your main screen, you'll find you've now got a remote called Curtain Blind. And when you open up the Curtain Blind, you've got those buttons. Those buttons, of course, have no idea how to control my blind at the moment. So when I press them, the Broadlink RM Pro is clever enough to say, I don't know how to do that. Teach me how to do that. So then you click Learn Single. And then you just point the remote. You point the remote at the Broadlink and press it. And you see that says it's saved successfully. I'm now going to do the same thing for the down. So Learn Single, and press the down button. And now if I press Test, you see that says it's gone down. So yes, it's working properly. And then we do the same thing for the Stop button. Learn Single. But once it's learnt it, it should be fine. So Test, of course, stops it. So it worked properly, great. So now pressing blind up sends the blind up, pressing stop stops it, and pressing blind down takes it down, obviously. So that's great. So I now have an app that can control as if I was using the remote, and that means I can throw the remote in the bin if I want. And now I can just create the same commands within the Broadlink RM plugin, which is a program created by a third party. It's not created by Broadlink, but it does an amazing job of linking Alexa to your Broadlink RM Pro. So that you don't need to use the app, you can use your voice instead. In order to do that, we need to share the commands. So if you click this little button up here and click on Share, and then click Share to other phones in WLAN, it starts advertising those things across the network. So if I now open the Broadlink RM plugin, it should, in a moment, pull all those codes in. So anything that I've created in the eControl app will then be available via the RM plugin. There you go, importing data from Broadlink app. And that's it done. So all we do now is if you're doing this for the first time, you click on Alexa Bridge, enable Alexa Bridge, auto start on boot, and that means that every time this phone boots up, it will automatically start the Alexa Bridge. Now, I wouldn't recommend using a mobile phone for this. You're going to want to use perhaps an old Android tablet, basically any Android device that you're happy to just leave plugged in, because this RM plugin will drain your battery. So you don't want to use your standard mobile phone that you intend to take out of the house. So all that stuff is now available to us. All we've got to do is go to Alexa device list so that we can teach the RM plugin what words to listen for. So we're going to add Alexa device. And the device name, we're going to call it curtain blind. And that's what she's now going to be listening out for. Now, the RM plugin is kind of a cheat, really. What it's doing is it's pretending to be Philips Hue lamps, and therefore the only commands we can use, sadly, are on and off. That means we're going to have to say curtain blind on and curtain blind off. And obviously, curtain blind on will be the curtain blind coming down and blocking all the light out, and curtain blind off will be it sending back up and then letting all the light back in again. So the on command, I'm going to choose single device, and then I'm going to select a code. So select an existing code from the Broadlink app, because we've just shared all these across. And there you can see we've got curtain blind down, stop, and blind up. And those are the commands we've just created. So I'm going to click on curtain blind down, because that is our on command. Our on command is to switch the blind on, if you like. Tick that box. And then off command is going to be single device. Select an existing code from the Broadlink app. Curtain blind up, because off is sending the blind up to let the light back in again. So if we tick that box, then all we should need to do now is ask Alexa to scan for new devices. Now, some people say that they have problems at this point. If you do, switch off Alexa, switch off your mobile phone, switch off the Broadlink RM Pro, switch off your router, and then switch them back on in this order. Switch the router on, switch the Broadlink RM Pro on, switch the Android device back on, and then switch Alexa on, and scan again, and this time she'll find them. Once she's found them, everything will be fine. It's just sometimes when you're trying to teach her this stuff, she fails until you do that. So if you're having any problems, just do that. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to ask Alexa to scan for new devices, and it should now find a device called curtain blind, because you can see that's one of the Alexa devices that the RM plugin is now advertising across the network. So let's give that a go. Alexa, turn the curtain blind on. Alexa, turn the curtain blind off. Amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see some more of this guy, hit that subscribe button. If you want to help support my channel, then the links are in the description for my Patreon, whatever that is, and my PayPal, and I'll see you next time. So let's find out how we can do that now. Up and down your big hairy balls. Ladies and gentlemen, Black Chupa, Jack Shama. There are links in the description as how you can become a So if you wind it up, I don't know why I'm milking a cat, Greg. I have nipples, Greg, can you milk me? I'm corpsing. There are the veils available. I've run out of things to say. You twist a milking of the nipples again. Milking of the nipples.